I'm Andrew.
And I'm Dave, and we are the IB English guys. We're IB examiners, IB teachers, teaching partners, and we wanted to create some videos to give you some manageable skills to help you with IB English.
Mr. Giles, today I think it's time to talk about a really important non-literary text type, and that is advertisements. What specifically will we look at today?
We're going to look at a very provocative advertisement from UNHCR, and this captures just a very important global issue. And I think it'll be a different type of advertisement to look at, and it'll give you some thought-provoking things to think about.
Students, go ahead and push pause right now. Spend 30 seconds viewing the ad, and we'll see you back in a minute, and we will use our mnemonic device from our previous video to deconstruct this UNHCR ad. Push pause now.
Okay, welcome back. Our last video gave you a mnemonic, and these are a way for us to deconstruct advertisements, ask questions about them so we understand them. What was our mnemonic device? Do you remember?
I think our mnemonic device was, please call Aunt Vera to eat vegetarian spring rolls?
Yes,
Is that the one?
Very close. I said Vietnamese spring rolls, vegetarian's good too. So again, we've got that. That's our mnemonic device.
Okay, so the P, Mr. Giles, was product, but in this case, I don't see a product, so that's slightly problematic. What do you recommend in this case?
Yeah, we want to think, of course, what are they selling? But in this case, they're actually promoting something. They're promoting UNHCR. That stands for the United Nations High Commission on Refugees. This is a very important agency for the United Nations.
Well, and I believe the production of this ad was in the year 2012.
That's
Is that
right.
Correct? And we have to think about contextually what's happening at that time period. As many of you know, globally we have some catastrophes. We have refugees in many different contexts. They're fleeing war-torn countries. They're fleeing disasters, flooding, climate change. People are on the move, and oftentimes they're moving without possessions and without money, and UNHCR wants to reach out to you to try to have you help these refugees.
That's right. So it is really a global context. But that year, I think, again, this is very important in 2012 as well as right now. We want to also think about the, what was our next?
The audience,
the
Mr.
audience,
Giles.
of
Aunt
course.
Vera. We got to get to the A of Aunt Vera.
Who are they trying to share this advertisement with?
For me, it's quite clear. These are people who have some disposable income. These are people who have empathy, people who have money, perhaps people who don't really realize the plight of the situation, but do have the agency and the ability to get involved. I think specifically that's who they're targeting in this case.
That's great. They are really casting their net wide, and they are trying to teach us through this ad about what it's like to be a refugee, and for us to think about that so that we donate to their cause and understand. So that's excellent.
Folks, the V for Vera stands for the visual aspect. And if you look down below, you'll see a handout with lots of different types of visual terms and other types of terminology we use to deconstruct photos. I think it's time to take a stab at that now, Mr. Giles.
That's great, because of course advertisements are visual, they're multimodal. So we want to talk about this particular image. It's very detailed and rich. I want to talk about the composition of the ad, how it's composed. It's telling a story. It's telling a story about a family, a group of people that are fleeing a place. And we have this story, and we want to think about the composition and how that's put together.
For me, looking at the composition, I can't help but notice the stark difference between the foreground and the background. In the foreground, we see a really crowded, cramped boat full of refugees which appear to be leaving a war-torn country. And we can see that because in the background, we see this black, ominous smoke. Things are on fire, things are burning, things are in chaos. And again, following the lines, the vectors of the boat, you can see that all the lines are pointing out toward the light. We're leaving the darkness and going out into the light.
That's great. There's so much use of symbolism, I think, with the image as well. This, like you said, the symbols of the smoke and the symbols of all those things. Another thing I want to talk about is gaze. The gaze is just the subject in the photo. Can I say something about what they're looking at? Well, I see the woman's gaze looking back towards shore. This is very important. She's thinking about what she's leaving behind. And we see also that the gaze of the young boys on the boat are looking ahead. And this is, again, this sort of gaze backward and gaze forward is making us think about going forward, but also what you've left behind. Very important to the text.
Mr. Giles, also visually, I always try to encourage my students to pull out one really specific, interesting detail. And if you look carefully at the woman, it appears that she's holding a photograph. And it could be a man, as someone looks like a man. It could be her it could be the boy's father. It could be her husband. It's a loved one that she's leaving behind. And again, that idea that she's clinging to this, like she's leaving this person behind, it really does pull at the heartstrings.
It does. Her posture and the way she's hugging that boy and also holding on to to the photograph really shows kind of her state of mind. Really important. I guess last, look at light and color. We could talk about the colors, how that again evokes an emotional response. Really interesting to think about. Let's shift gears.
Yeah, let's think about the text. Some key words that we see in the text that really stand out to us. And for me, I can't help but notice these two questions that are next to the woman's head. And it's almost a false choice. She can either face death in a war zone or leave her loved ones behind. And both the boxes are empty, because what kind of choice is this? This is a false choice. And I think it really does present to the viewer just how these people have no viable options except to flee.
That's great. And even the empty boxes, they're kind of inviting the audience whether they want to tick which box. Again, those open boxes invite us to do that. But again, who wants to tick either box, because it's a no-win situation.
And I think this no-win situation is further accentuated in the language. It says the choice is between something horrific or something worse. Again, these are not viable choices, okay? So again, they're sort of presenting you with this stark dilemma, this terrible situation where you have no choice except to contribute money and help.
That's right. That really is.
Mr. Giles, what are some other words that pop out at you in the text?
Well, I've noticed besides the sort of words that connote all the dangers and the difficulties, we see that the UNHCR is helping to find safety, regain hope, and rebuild lives. We see that rule of three and these words with very positive connotation about what the UNHCR does. This is very important.
Yeah, we can talk about the juxtaposition, the contrast between numbers, this idea of one versus too many, this idea that one family left behind is too many, right? So, there really is this notion that we have to use our empathy and make sure we're taking care of all of these people, even if it's just one or a few families.
I love that. And it goes back to the image, because in the image is really prominent. We see one family, and this is a microcosm of a much bigger global problem. But this helps us understand that this one family is too many. So
the last textual aspect I might talk about is the fact that the website is given there, and they're giving an imperative command: take action. Before they were giving us choices. Whether they were false choices or not, that's another issue. But now they're telling us to take action, and they give us a way to do that.
Okay, 3 more aspects of our acronym that we want to talk about. Emotions. Okay,
For me, I think emotions. I feel very forlorn and very contemplative when I look at this. It makes me question myself and what I'm doing and what my role is to help these people.
Yeah, it's tragic, and it's meant for us to evoke, sadness and have that. And then we want to think about values. What values do you think this advertisement shares?
I think that this UNHCR, they're reminding us to value humanity, whether it's my neighbor, my family, or someone on the other side of the world. These are human beings. We have to value their humanity. Mr. Giles, what's the value that you feel like you're tapping into?
Yeah, I think when it asks the question, what would you do? That's about empathy. We need to really think about, if you were in that person's shoes, what would you do? And how difficult that is for us to be in that situation. That's really important.
It is. The final S is for subtext or spring rolls. What is not written or what is not shown, but what is implied in this ad, Mr. Giles?
I think one thing that's implied is that people get busy and don't think about the other very much. We don't think about other people, and we really do need to have more empathy and care about others.
Yeah, and I think other elements of the subtext is that we just can't focus on what's happening in our immediate communities. We have to remember that this is a massive globe. There are people everywhere, and it's just not okay for us to just focus on ourselves. We have a responsibility as human beings to take care of others.
That's great. So we hope you enjoyed that deconstruction of the ad, where we looked at use that mnemonic device to just dig into the ad, because there's so much to talk about.
Folks, remember, again, if you take a look at the handouts down there are so many terms to discuss when looking at advertisements and visuals. We hope that this gives you a taste of what to do. Make your own mnemonic devices and look at the terms and come up with your own analysis. And we hope that you enjoy deconstructing visuals, deconstructing ads, and that this video will help you be more successful. Thanks, everybody, and have a great day. Bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
guys.